Real magic comes when we rise up into the adult world of conscious creation, which is actually making the choice to make magic.
Which, I would say, this is true sincerity. It's not a childish, dopamine-driven act, but the act of a true, wise, mature sorcerer, shall we say, of love, making magic, consciously choosing to work on his or her ability to make their wish, what you've written, a reality. You wrote your wish, you wish to make it happen. Here's the steps to make it a reality. Become that sorcerer of, shall we say, love.
Yeah. So as we move forward, it's a critical part of creating magic that we do not feel or accuse our partners of being insincere. So you understand you're both actually waking up and you're graduating from that childish infatuation into the wisdom of conscious creation. Yeah, conscious creation. And that requires new learning and new skills.
Yeah, look, we really want to drive home this point that as you begin to change on the outside, you're aligning yourself with your wish. You're aligning yourself with that which you wish to create for your happiness and for the happiness of your partner. It is not insincere. It is the opposite. It is waking up to that conscious creation. When I first learned to hold a tennis racket correctly, I literally thought I was losing my mind. I hated it. I felt like every cell in my body was just resisting it. It felt so awkward and weird. But I stuck with it because I had a coach. And over many months, he kept saying, you have to make a V, Barry. Make your hand look like a V. And then you need a shape, and then your arm goes like this, and all this stuff. Like, no, I want to hold it like a bat.
Not to play tennis.
I want to whack it out of the court like a baseball bat. He's like, no, you're not playing baseball anymore, Barry. You're playing tennis. You hold it like this. You make the shape of a V, and you keep it that way, and you follow through. And he was showing me the correct way of doing it, but I felt wrong. It felt wrong. But I stuck with it because I had a coach. We're your coach.
We are coaches.
We're your coaches, that's correct. But once I stuck with it, it took me a few months to really get it in my mind. It wasn't a hard shift outside, it was just hard in my mind. Once I got it, I could never imagine going back to my poor, self-created, ridiculous, inaccurate grip. My play went up several levels. I began triumphing over tennis players I never imagined I could beat in my wildest of dreams. And all it took was really a tiny 2% shift, a little grip change. And the only reason why it took a few months to make this little change is I resisted it. I did. I was my own worst, I guess I was my own worst enemy.
You were. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's often the case, right? I mean, it is. It's when we're presented with a new way of doing something, we often resist it. But here we are now acknowledging that tendency.
Yes.
And that gives us power over it. So you're simply remembering what really matters, and you're acknowledging that you each took each other for granted, and you're getting a grip on the situation.
Your marriage, on your relationship.
Yeah, a new correct grip. You're remembering how important your relationship is, and you are not being insincere.
You are not being insincere. Change does not mean insincerity.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, it can be and should be and generally is the opposite. When we recognize we have been doing things incorrectly, and it's sort of an admission, it's humbling because we sort of have to admit we have done things wrong in the past, right?
Yeah.
We've done things that do not align with that which we wish to create. So we have to admit, oh, I was holding the racket incorrectly. And now I'm going to become sincere with my heart's desire, with the world, the life, the relationship I want to create. So it's humbling. So even though your emotions might not line up with the 2% shifts that we're suggesting and that you're going to create on your own, that does not mean that they're insincere. That actually is how the magic is created. Pushing past the juvenile honeymoon infatuation phase and becoming the master of your destiny, creating your wish, doing the things that align with what the life you want to create. We really want this to sink in. At some point you chose this life, this love, this partnership, And now you're being called to recommit, not just in words, but in action. The truth is, we all drift. We forget what matters most. We get busy, distracted, lazy even, and slowly our priorities slip out of alignment. But here's the good news. We can realign. You can choose again. As you step toward the life you really want, the joyful, fulfilling life you dreamed of when you fell in love, you will have to change, not because you're broken, but because you're becoming. Unless, of course, everything's already perfect in your relationship, then please give me a call. I'd love to know how you did it. But for the rest of us, change is part of the journey, because life is really just about closing the gap between where we are and who we are capable of being. And here's the key. As you and your partner close that gap, you will act differently. Not from pressure, not from pretending, but from awakening. This isn't about fixing something wrong in you or your spouse. It's about honoring who you're becoming. It is a quantum shift from reacting out of habit to living with intention. From unconsciousness to conscious, from autopilot to awakening to love. So yes, you might do something that feels out of character. You might speak softer, listen more, say thank you for the little things. To the untrained eye, that change might seem forced or fake, but not for you. You know it is that you are aligning with your highest self and your deepest love. And when you see change in your partner, acknowledge it, celebrate it. Say something like, hey, I noticed a shift since that last Marriage Magic video. You've been showing up differently. You're making an effort, and I see it, and I appreciate it. And boom, that is marriage magic. As Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And as Christy and I like to add, and know it is sincere. Peace, my friends. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and share the love with a friend.